And good evening, everybody. We're live, and Star Trek, the original series, season 2, episode 14 or 25, depending on what order you go in, is over and has been since 1968. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast to cover TED Trek Wednesdays as we continue our mission to watch every original series episode, not in order. And I'm hearing a lot of static from one of you, but let's bring in our guests. All right. We got Jody Simpson. How are you doing, Jody?
Oh, I'm first today.
You're first tonight. You're doing good?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I said, how you doing?
Oh, fine. Yourself?
I'm doing well.
Oh, good.
Doing well. Also bringing in next. Oh, maybe might have been Adam. Let's see. We're going to bring in my dad, Ted. How are you doing, Dad?
Good. All good here.
Good. Good. You ready to talk about some bread and circuses?
Bread and circuses.
Bread and circuses. And last but not least, we got esteemed panelist Adam Woodward.
Hello, guys.
Hello. And as mentioned, we're talking bread and circuses. This is the episode where the Kirk and Spock and McCoy, they beam down to a planet of Roman gladiators. It's Rome in the 20th century. Yet another example of this original series crew just walking into a set that already existed in Hollywood, and it was quite advantageous. However, I think there's some great things in this episode too. Some prophetic things about how maybe television, reality television, and sort of maybe us watching those things. So how that all ties in. So we're going to talk about that and break it all down. Let's start with Jody. Let's start with Jody first. Jody, how are you feeling about bread and circuses?
It wasn't bad. I guess it was kind of meh. Sorry, I guess I got shaking going on here. Overall, it's not a terrible episode, I don't think, but it's certainly a very normal, very templated episode. I felt like I've watched this before, at least a couple times, and I know I haven't. So, did
it remind you maybe of the Omega Glory, which was the
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I thought it had some similarities.
A little bit of the other one with the little person. Can't remember the name of that episode.
Oh, Plato's Stepchildren.
Plato's Stepchildren. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Roman Greek kind of stuff. But let's go over to Adam next. Adam, bread and circuses. I believe you picked this, right? Was it you who proposed this one?
I did pick it. In my mind, it was different than it was, which seemed to be a lot of these episodes that I watched a long time ago. But I did like it, actually. I did like it. It was a little slower pace than I would like, and the 10-minute rule just keeps happening, Dave. Every week, I'm proving myself right here.
This one was more 20 minutes.
But the story wasn't bad. I quite like that, and we'll talk more what I did and didn't like. But generally, I gave it a thumbs up. It was good.
Yeah, and Dad, where was your thumb up or down on bread and circuses?
Yeah, I would be up. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. They had a very. I didn't like that pro council guy. He's probably one of my top Star Trek villains of all time.
You mean Flavius? Is that his name?
No,
the pro council.
Whatever the guy is, was the pro council.
Oh, his name. Yeah, his name was Claudius. Claudius.
Claudius. Yeah, I didn't like that guy.
Yeah, let's have a quick look here at Claudius. I know I have a picture of him somewhere. There he is with that iconic look there. There he is.
I liked him.
Every movie and show, I guess, about the Roman, culture has this definite look of a fat senator or a leader. Yeah. That's funny that they keep going there with that.
Did anybody else get like a Running Man vibe from this one?
Yeah, that was like there. That's it. Okay, I knew it.
I just didn't like him.
Just thought he was a good villain.
He was within seconds of killing McCoy, Spock, and
Kirk. And he kills Maricus, who is Captain Merrick from the other ship.
Yeah.
Backstab.
Yeah.
But okay, let's break down this episode piece by piece. It's plot wise, it's pretty simple, easy to follow. It starts off with, hey, we're in this region of space where a ship went missing 6 years ago. It was not like a Starfleet vessel. It was called the SS Beagle, and it was a merchant ship of some kind. It wasn't like a Starfleet vessel, as I said. There were 47 crew aboard, and then Spock says, "Hey, it's somebody you would know, Captain R.M. Merrick." He's like, "Yep, he was booted out in the 5th year at the academy, even though the academy is only 4 years usually, but I guess he had a 5th year." And he says he failed out. What was it? He failed one of the tests. He couldn't. He hesitated on a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Right. So, but otherwise, he was. Kirk seemed to have a high opinion of him going into this. Like he wasn't best friends with him, but he knew him somewhat well from the academy, and wouldn't have anticipated this.
The Beagle is a famous ship from many years ago. You know whose ship that was?
No.
Yes.
You? Darwin, right?
Yeah. It was Darwin's.
Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin. Okay, and he had a sail ship? Like he had a ship of his own? Or?
Yeah, and he was the guy who founded Galapagos Island and Charles Darwin, but he was on the Beagle.
Right. Interesting. Okay, I wonder if there's some
Learn
significance to that. We'll get into that in fun facts, and I'm not sure actually who's on fun facts tonight, but we'll get to that when we get to maybe through the plot.
No Jeff tonight.
No Jeff tonight. I don't.
I guess it's going to be me then, or it's going to be Adam.
Yeah, either one. You both have done it at times, so we can, or you can split it. We can have fun facts with Adam and Jody. Why not?
Tag team it back and forth.
What am I? Dirt meat?
Yes.
Well, yeah, but you're like the spotlight of the show. I don't think we can do a segment.
I'll throw in my fun fact if I have one.
If you, yeah, well, sure, throw it in there.
There'd be a full round table.
Last week we bounced around. It was good.
Yeah, we bounced around. It's all good. We can all chime in. With the Earth-like, so it's all about how this is Earth-like. Once they finally do get to the planet, it's Earth-like. It's got this very similar in terms of oceans and land, but Kirk's like, not really. It's not Earth. It's not Earth. But they're like, it's so similar. They even got radio, and they have different television programs or whatever, video. We think it's called video. And so they look down there. And then even when they get to the planet, they're like, and they speak English. This is amazing. But it's this idea of parallel evolution, right? It's like this theory. And I don't fully understand the theory, but the idea is that like humans could evolve on other planets in theory, but for them to have the same language would be almost impossible. Like we don't even do that on Earth. Like we don't. It's not like English developed in two parts of Earth.
It's hard to. They were speaking Latin.
Yeah, or or just say like the universal translator we're using that. Like I don't know, but they felt the need to explain that because they never go to any other alien planets and have language issues. So that doesn't seem to be a problem. But it's all about how this is like it's like Rome, but it's also like the 20th century. It's like if there was 20th century Rome, which is a kind of an interesting concept. I think maybe just conceptually. But as soon as they realize that the planet that they see, don't they see somebody on the screen? Like that was somebody from the Beagle that we saw fighting in the video or fighting in the
announcer.
The Beagle guy?
Yeah, he was one of the Beagle guys. He was the announcer. I think he was like one of the ship's navigator or something.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that connection that he was actually a human, that announcer. Okay, so right, but they say we got to go find out what happened here, right? Like this we've seen this before. We've seen this before in Star Trek. Like ship went missing, got to go down, got to find out what happens, and then usually they get in the same trap that whatever got that same ship. But that's the part of it. They get shot at. There's guns on this planet. And they shoot at Kirk, Spock, and McCoy there out in the field. It turns out to be a bunch of slaves, including we meet Flavius in this scene, who he's pretty much in the entire episode. Let's have a quick look at him. He's a worshiper of the sun, a brother of the sun. and we find out at the end that it's not the sun, like the sun in the sky. It's the Son of God.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
That was an interesting revelation. Again, spoke to the time, I thought, but I liked it. I gotta say, I liked that circle back to what they were really worshiping.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that amazing. Like I was like, oh, it's polytheism versus monotheism. Okay, like
but it's kind of the time too. I mean, if you go back in history and take a look at the culture, I mean, there was a big evolution going on in the Roman times back then. This remind Dave, you set the tone very well. When you're talking about Roman times in the 20th century, and I kind of like that storyline. I really like Man of High Castle or From High Castle. With just to see a different interpretation of how history would roll out if a rolling culture stayed brewing. Beyond.
Very cool series. Yeah.
Yeah, but this was kind of neat to see the cars driving around the Roman buildings and whatnot, and the TV studio where they do gladiator fights rather than an arena. Using TV as a medium rather than it's kind of actually. I'm getting excited about this episode. You're thinking more about today's reality TV and what they were doing there. They were doing reality TV. It was
Yeah. Well, I guess the fear of what television and entertainment would become, because they were relatively new mediums, even at this point in the late 1960s. I guess they've been around. I don't know. Like, I try to think about I know television was invented like in the 1920s or something like that. But in terms of it being in every home and sort of what that meant entertainment wise, I don't think it was
50s,
the 50s, I guess, right? And then
Ed
it
was there. Let's ask him.
Dad, you were there. You were there only for 2 years of the 50s, but you were there for the 60s.
Yeah.
But when you were growing up, like this idea of like watching television was like, especially for kids, was new, right? Because your parents didn't grow up with television, right? So it was you were maybe a little bit like
what?
Like grew up with television in your life.
Yeah, we grew up with it. Yeah.
But your parents. In that generation,
not as much,
no, right? And so this idea, like we see, like that they put the gladiator fights on TV, and that they kind of make people sort of on display and sort of use people to entertain things. And there is some parallels to a lot of shows.
Yeah, let's be honest though. If the Roman Empire had access to TV and could broadcast, they totally would have broadcasted it. Like they built coliseums to view this stuff, so it seems like a completely natural evolution in that scenario. If it was available,
it was natural, but it was also, I think, interesting writing because they could have easily gone the route of the arena, and we would have been
absolutely
with that too, right?
Didn't you love the nods though with boos, cheers, cat calls?
Yeah, the sound effect man.
Well, that's even more truer nowadays because of with COVID and all that. There's actually like late night talk shows are actually using that because they have no audience, right?
Well, they're even doing that in the Raptors games where you can actually hear it on the TV, but you don't hear it in the arena.
Yeah, the hockey's doing that as well.
Hockey, the basketball, everything.
Pre-recorded crowds, yeah.
Yeah, we had this sound effect man, as we saw here in the studio. But just to kind of walk back to earlier in the episode, where they also met this guy. His name was what was his name? Septimus.
I know he was a whiner.
You thought he was a whiner? He was he was like a former senator who was like leading this group of slaves. Did you feel like it was a little bit too on the nose for them to wear T-shirts with chains on them?
Yeah, that was a little silly. I thought.
So this guy, he also was in another episode. He was the caretaker. Remember when they were trying to find? I can't remember the episode.
Was he like the librarian or something?
The librarian. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like the librarian of like history, right? Where like Spock and Kirk they end up in like the caves in ancient times or something.
That's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a very good actor. Ian Wolfe. He died in 1992. But yes, he also had played the caretaker or the librarian on All Our Yesterdays, which is a third season episode. I thought he was quite interesting. Like, he was.
Yes, he was. Yes. I remember him now.
Yeah, and he was the one who kind of saying, let's not kill these guys. They might be nice, like about Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, because it looks like they're really going to kill them for a while. But this guy Septimus, he kind of says, no, like, it's all right. They're trying not to reveal too much about the Prime Directive. My only thought was, like, why did they beam down in their Starfleet uniforms, and why did they not try to cover up Spock's ears?
I'm almost positive that Kirk actually has a tattoo somewhere. It's probably like a tramp stamp, and it probably says "fuck the directives" or something like that, because he literally never follows that at all. Like, never.
Right. But here's the thing on the Prime Directive, and this is where I did get a bit confused. Like, why was it if you're about to die, are you supposed to just accept that and move? And like, but no, here's another thing. They've already been interfered with because of Maricus is there.
Mm-hmm.
The history's already changed. They've already
contamination is there. So does it apply? I don't think you're supposed to do further damage.
I think that's it. It's damage. It's crowd control, damage control, right? Like, it's the whole point is, it's already been messed up, but that doesn't mean Kirk should be down there fucking messing it up even more. Like, it's like, right. It seems to be a constant thing, especially with the original series, which is fine. It was an action show, and that makes sense. But it's there's a couple things we always know when they land. They're going to breach the Prime Directive in some way, and Kirk is going to end up making it with somebody. That's the two things that always happen.
So here's the thing on that. Okay, so I'm the proconsul slave, but I'm yours tonight.
Yeah.
And Kirk's like looking around. Oh boy,
he's like jackpot.
He's like, what's the catch? What's the hook here?
Yeah, he's looking around. Is there a camera?
Like, are you like a lizard or something? What's going on here?
68. That was quite the costume for 1968.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. Okay, because like this, it seems to be very specific to the late 1960s, where you were allowed to show more skin, and women were. I don't know if she was all game for this or if this was just producers deciding this, but like I never saw this kind of thing in like the 70s or any, like it seems like it was a very, very, because you go from this very conservative time in the 50s and then it becomes more like liberal in the 60s. I'm talking more about fashion and
the hippie movement was on then, and the long hair and it was a little more liberal in the 60s.
Did any of you guys notice that when Kirk was sitting beside her, he kept looking like he was trying to get some side boob? You ever notice that? He was like,
wouldn't take much.
He kept looking over.
I can't believe that he actually still, went in. Like, he, like, this is a slave.
Yeah, it wasn't very ethical.
No.
Talk about Prime Directive. But
there's nothing in the Prime Directive that says anything about ethics, does it?
Well, he said he think I'm going to die anyway. What's
like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down with a smile.
Oh my god, you talk about the Miri episode you want to hear. I'm bringing it up tonight.
Oh, you were the first to say it.
But like, a guy who says he's a woman says to him he's a slave, okay? Or she's a slave, and I'm your slave tonight. And he goes right in. He's taking right advantage of her. I just felt that was off and wrong. I personally, Kirk again.
There's definitely a creepy vibe to it.
Well, and this actor is named or was Lois Jewell. She was only acted one other time, and that was in the Flying Nun pilot episode.
So every afternoon on CHCH.
They're playing that?
Yeah, do you know who the star was?
Yeah, it was Sally Field.
Sally Field.
Yeah. Right. She said
every afternoon at 4.
But after she did this, she quit acting forever and returned to modeling.
That's because she's shamed for being in this role.
Yeah,
I would hope not. But anyway.
Well, she's amongst the great, beautiful women that Kirk has been involved with for sure. But yeah, just in terms of like the fact that I was more like this dress, and I would try to like reconcile it. Like, when did culture? Was it just like this unique kind of window in time where that was okay, because I'm not against it. I'm just like, but it seemed like when I was growing up, everything was a lot more conservative again. And
yeah, but you were growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Like it is a different, obviously we didn't have, the hippie movements and stuff like that. And I grew up in the same time period. So,
I think the 70s wasn't like this either though, right, Ted? I mean, it was not a lot of like this kind of costuming, certainly. I'm just thinking of other space shows, right? I mean, even science fiction, like Space 1999 was a jumpsuit. But
like think about Battlestar Galactica, even
they were all covered.
Well,
a lot.
The only thing about sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Battlestar Galactica, you had the blonde in the original 1978 one. I can't remember her name in the show, but like she was a pleasure person, and she did wear a dress that you saw a lot of leg in and stuff like that, but nothing like Star Trek.
Nothing like Star Trek kind of like stood apart, it feels like to me. Like I don't know if like shows like Lost in Space did this or
But
whatever.
let's be honest, if you're a costume designer for this TV show, it's as simple as going bikini bottom and a face cloth and we're good. Like it's to me, I just think it's like, wow, that's probably the easiest job on the set was to dress the women in this show.
the only other, like if you look at Star Trek: The Motion Picture, when they were in very, very form-fitting jumpsuits. I mean, you saw a lot. Like, go back and watch that episode. The opening scene where Kirk does his opening and briefing the crew in the whatever room, and just take a look at those uniforms they were wearing because they were very tight, and you see a lot.
We saw some men tonight. They were in their skimpies too, fighting with their shirts off and different things, but perhaps maybe a little bit of a different standard. But after they kind of convinced Septimus, we're okay. We need to go in the city. We need to find this. They kind of mention Merrick, and they go, "You don't know Merrick. He's like a butcher. He's evil." And Kirk kind of starts to figure out, like, did he show up like 6 years ago? And they go, "Yeah." And he's like, "Uh-oh. Well, we're gonna punish him."
Oh shit, I know that guy.
At this point, they should beam up to their ship and probably like.
Yeah, it's time to haul ass. Get out of there.
But no, they decide to go on this like mission. So they get the clothes from Septimus and Flavius, and so like Flavius will take you to the city, and then you're on your own. But before they do, they get ambushed by a bunch of police, who take them all prisoner, and they go, "Oh, Flavius," because Flavius was a big fighter in the day before he became one of the children of the sun.
He escaped.
Yeah, he escaped and joined with Septimus and them, and they're like, "Well, we can't wait to get you back into the games," because I guess he was the big show in his era.
He was the Rock.
He was the Rock. He was the Russell Crowe.
The Undertaker.
Something Maximus. Yes.
Yes. And then when they get captured and they get put into this cell, and they keep talking. Well, because they identify Kirk and them as barbarians, which I thought was, I didn't quite get that, because later on they introduce them as barbarians. They're barbarians. They're intelligent. They're strange. I think it's just.
Well, I think you get the impression that the fighters are like seen as like the highest in regards to the society. So, which would make sense because same thing happened in Roman times, right?
Well, and also Roman times, barbarians were like the Gauls and the Germans, and so I mean, very so they definitely can seen as enemies of the state.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, just like they're not Romans, right? They're not first class citizens or anything like that. And as they're talking with Flavius in the cell before sort of like Claudius comes along and all that, he said they start explaining that slaves have been given more rights, or more. Not rights, but like things over the course of the centuries, like healthcare, social security payments, pensions. Yeah, exactly.
So how are they slaves?
I guess because they don't have the freedom to not to be a slave, but they seem to be. I don't know. Like they said that they've evolved, and this was sort of like kind of an interesting. This is maybe more the interesting part of this episode for me. Like if Rome and that civilization had existed into the 20th century, is this what it would be? I'm not so sure that like, oh, well, we would have given slaves more rights and then it would have been great. And then there would have been no world wars as we go, because that's what that's Merrick's like defense. He's like, they don't have war here. And Spock even starts chiming in on this concept that, well, they don't have how many people died in your First World War, your Second World War, the Third World War that doesn't exist in our universe, at least not yet, but is often referenced in Star Trek, that they had 3 world wars in their case. And that look at this society.
The Second World War though were very low.
I'm sorry?
How many people died? On the amount of people that died in the Second World War, Spock's numbers were way off base.
What did he say, like 11 million?
I think he said like 11 million.
That seems like
Spock
by the 1960s.
denies the Holocaust.
Yeah, that was
here first.
I was going to say he's forgetting the whole Jewish and Russian population. It seems like
That was 6 million.
Well, Leonard Nimoy was Jewish. I don't think he was his omission, but
I know, that was the joke.
And this episode was
it was a joke.
This episode's written by Gene Roddenberry and Gene Kuhn, and I'd be curious to know, like, of those two Genes, which was whose episode this really was more. But I'd like
yes, I'd say Roddenberry's.
Roddenberry. But Roddenberry was like a big atheist and everything, so it's interesting all the religious stuff.
Yeah, but the whole Roman thing, that's totally up his alley.
I guess so. Yeah, like
the slave is the female slave.
Yes, very much so.
the female slave. Yeah.
Married them eventually.
No comment on that.
I know that was in poor taste, but I took it anyway.
Where was I? Yeah. So they meet Claudius. There's a lot of banter here too with Spock and McCoy. They're getting
That's
into
part
it
of the
in this
episode.
Yeah, like why?
Your enemy?
Yeah, they're bickering, and Flavius says to Kirk, "What's up with those two?" He's like, "I don't know." Like,
I don't know. They're always like this on away missions. Fuck.
yeah, this is what they do. He's kind of right. He's like, I'm over it. Like, whatever.
Always yelling.
Right. And later on, when Spock saves McCoy's life in that fight, and then when McCoy tries to thank him, it turns into a big fight too.
Yeah, but even that, Dave. I mean, like, you know, he's going through that. I mean, the scene is funny because McCoy's, I think you're right. He's just mumbling. Oh, Spock, I'm going to thank you. Well, just thank him then, for crying out loud.
I believe the answer is you're welcome.
You're literally talking about the best part of this episode.
Well, yeah,
What's the bickering?
Maybe. You think that the Spock and McCoy stuff is the
I
best?
always love the Spock and McCoy stuff.
Because it even starts from the second they beam down, they're bickering with each other, even about Spock's pointed ears and
Bones
everything
being a
else.
dick. And
When he called him the Hobgoblin, that was the best.
that was the best.
Yeah, you pointy-eared hobgoblin or whatever he calls them. And
That was amazing.
and like, I don't know. Like, a lot of people look back on some of this stuff with McCoy, especially when he would like insult Bean Vulcan, and people go, "Oh, he's pretty mean to Spock." But I still enjoy this stuff looking back.
I love
on
this guy. That, you green-blooded.
But you also get the point that it's almost like bickering among brothers, because they're never like, it doesn't ever feel like it's serious. It always feels like they're just being dicks to each other.
Yeah, so, my God, man!
It's almost like a sibling thing. Yeah,
it's fine. It's fun.
But that scene where they're both fighting, flash forwarding or whatever to the fight scene where Spock and McCoy are fighting the two gladiators, which they honestly should have been killed in the first 30 seconds. Especially McCoy.
Wouldn't disagree.
Because it was so funny again that the gladiator says to him, "Defend yourself." "I am defending myself, man."
There he is. Not much of a fighter, McCoy.
Yeah.
But just to go back to Merrick, because we meet him at this point, there's a kind of a sit down here with Merrick and Claudius, and they kind of explain what happened. And Kirk's like, "What happened to your crew, man? What's going on? What happened to your crew?" And so Merrick explains he came down to the planet looking for uridium, and he got captured. And I guess Claudius talked him into beaming all his people down or coming down, and they're all dead now. Right. And Kirk can't believe it. Kirk can't believe what his old friend Merrick has become, like a collaborator, effectively. Got his people killed. But I don't know. Does he have like a turn at the end, or was he just being cowardly at the end? I wasn't sure if there was redemption here for Merrick in this episode.
I didn't feel any redemption for him.
I think he completely turned himself, but it was too late. mean, he tried to save Kirk in the end, and
I think he was just saving his own ass.
you think
Maybe.
That's how I felt it.
He saved Kirk in the end, so in essence, he felt he knew he did wrong, so he tried to fix it.
Right. But let's say you're in Kirk's spot, right? Where Kirk's saying,
Why else would he do it, though? Why else would he do it?
yeah,
There's no other,
like
there's no other reason.
if you say to Kirk, like, hey, call up your ship and start beaming down hundreds of people so we can make them slowly die in a gladiator arena, or we'll shoot Kirk and Spock. Like it seems like a no-brainer for Kirk that he has to not comply with that, like, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. He's responsible for his ship, like, right? Like, there's no way he's going to go along with this. Like,
I think before he went down on this mission, he should have had, a chess move like he did on the other mission, or,
right, like a check-in, like a code word. He kind of does this, and with these machine guns pointed at his head. Condition green, which is apparently a code, as we find out, which means that we're in trouble, but you are not allowed to do anything until like we call you. And so Scotty's like, I may not be allowed to do anything, but I am allowed to scare them.
You know what I was surprised about, though? The fact that Scotty was on the ship without everybody, and for once the ship wasn't that much in danger.
The ship.
I was shocked.
Usually,
I was like, what is he going to do?
always in a declining orbit.
Yeah, the orbit's declining. There's something attacking us in the surface. Nope.
Yeah, there wasn't anything holding them in place. They were literally just hanging around, and it's like, wow.
And
Scotty got it easy this time.
Yeah. So I thought that was like
I think that whole transporter issue too. Like, why couldn't they just beam on and get them up?
Not
because they had 50 minutes to kill.
You guys were very funny in that because you both look at the same look on your face and you both at the same time. It was good.
I think we've both discussed this immensely as to why this never seems to be like there's always it's the same. Actually, it's even worse with Next Generation, because with Next Generation there's always a goddamn problem with something like they can't, or there's always some energy field that's stopping them from using it. Where at least in the original series, they're like, fuck it, we don't care. We're not even going to give a reason for that. We're just doing it.
Well, it's even more jarring because they go out of their way to prove to us in this beginning scene where they meet Septimus and them that, like, he calls up to the ship, right? And he's like, hey, how many people are standing here, including us? They're like 12. So if they can tell that, they can't, like, pick up on the only Vulcan on this planet and beam him up, at least? Or...
I just say it should be too hard to get Spock anyway. Yeah,
beam them all up and then send the other guys back.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't sure when they had the one guy that was causing trouble. Why didn't they just beam that guy right up?
They may.
They had 50 minutes to kill.
Prime directive,
maybe.
They had to go at least 10 minutes too long.
Right. But this whole plot, like, what Claudius's motivation is, he just wants more gladiators. That's why he wants these, all these crew to come down.
He needs to bring the numbers up.
Right. Okay. I don't know. He's a little one note.
Interfering in his little planning.
Right. We mentioned this announcer. So as we said, it turns out he is one of the guys. Where did I got him here? Right. So you're saying he's one of the crew of the Beagle.
Sorry, Dave, he wasn't. He was announcing, and the guy fighting was one of the former crew.
Okay, one of the crew was okay, but this announcer, I feel like I've heard his voice before, right? Like he's.
Yeah, I got the same impression when I heard him.
His name is Bart LaRue. He was a voice actor from the 60s and 70s. Most popular with the producers of Mannix and Mission Impossible.
It could be Mission Impossible. I watched a lot of that.
Dave?
Sorry?
Was there another episode where there was an announcer like this?
I don't think. Yes, he was the newscaster in Patterns of Force, which is the Nazi episode, if you recall. Where he is one of the announcers for the Nazis as well. So he was at least one.
I wonder what he did in Mission Impossible though, because I watched that like hell when I was younger.
Let's see.
Such a fun show.
Might not have been in every episode.
No, he wasn't like on the show like permanently. He guest starred on it and things like that. He did like looks like he did the Guardian of Forever, maybe. No, it wasn't that Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty did the voice for that. Well, James Doohan.
Actually, no, he was the Guardian voice.
Was he?
He
I
was.
thought it
That's
was
who this is.
James Doohan.
He was the Guardian of Forever. He was Trelane's father in The Squire of Gothos.
Oh yeah.
He was in the Gamesters of Triskelion. He was one of the providers. He was Yarnik in The Savage Kurgan, the rock monster who made
Okay.
with Abraham Lincoln and all those guys. He was in that one too. So, and they used his voice again in Discovery's season 3 episode Terra Firma Part 2, which spoilers, the Guardian of Forever shows up in. So he is. Yeah, I was like, I know this voice. I know this actor. He must be from commercials or stuff or all the above. And he was.
He definitely sounded familiar to me for sure. I didn't know where, but he definitely has like a familiar tone anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was fun. And this whole gladiator scene, we kind of talked about it all. It's neat. You get a feel for like what 1960s TV felt like, sort of behind the scenes too, which is kind of neat. And we get just Kirk and Spock. No, it was McCoy and Spock fighting Flavius and some other random guy, like who's actually trying to fight Spock. And Spock's like, "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to fight you. Stop it." And this fight went on for way too long.
See, this is the 10-minute thing again.
20 minutes for this episode.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was. I said it to Callie last night. I go, this is like, okay, this is 10 minutes. Okay. We were done 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Easily.
And it wasn't even well done, the fight. Some of the fights I love in Star Trek, this one I was like,
Yeah, this is a very mediocre choreographed fighting in this.
And they had swords to work with, and they could have done a lot more.
They had swords. I was trying to figure out, in a world where they've invented guns, that swords would still be used is kind of.
Yeah, but I
more dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
True, and also for the gladiator fighting. I mean, you want the gore of a sword. You want the slow death, and a gun is too easy.
Yeah, well, I guess because in our society we don't do gladiator fights, so we had no need for swords. Like swords went away. Right?
It's like that scene in Indiana Jones, right? Like the scene with him and the fucking guy's got the knives and everything, and he just fucking pulls out a gun and shoots him. It's like, okay, well, there's the end of that.
Got a knife to a gunfight.
The gladiator shows would be pretty quick.
You know the story of that? Why that scene went the way it went?
Because Harrison Ford was deathly sick.
Yeah, he just wanted it to be over.
So fed up with the shot, he just did that, and then they used it.
It's one of the
I thought it was great. They should have put that in the movie to begin with.
Right.
But anyway, this isn't an Indiana Jones podcast.
Hey, but it ties in.
It does.
And so for McCoy's benefit, he's fighting Flavius, who's not really trying, right? If it's a real gladiator, McCoy.
They're lucky they got the partners they got.
Yeah, they were. But Spock's like, I could mess you up, man, if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I could easily. Did you see Amok Time? I was taking Kirk on with the dun, 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 dun.
That music came back for this episode, though.
Yeah, there was a bit of that in there in the fight.
I always, every time I hear that, I get pumped.
But eventually they get the drop on them, or Spock does the nerve pinch, and that's kind of the end of it. But it's a clear foul, like a basketball term. And this guy shows up.
Well, it is.
You can't do a nerve pinch?
No, it's a fucking gladiator fight with fucking swords, man. You don't do no nerve pinches.
Well, he's a beginner.
Spock could have taken him on in a second if he just tried. This. Come on.
Yeah, I thought this Roman guy was fun though. He was like
he's
cool.
He's a tough-looking guy.
Yeah, he's like a clear foul, proconsul. What say you?
I liked him, but the only thing I don't understand is the armor, because those 2 rings there for the tits, I don't get it.
Well, yeah, because the other policemen, they wear modern clothing, but these guys actually dress like they're from.
I think they were more in costume because it was bringing back the old Rome.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just talking about the hooks there, whereas boobs
More
would be.
that they were bringing back the old gladiator fights as opposed to the modern day.
Yeah, I didn't like the sort of Spaceballs helmets. The white guys. The white helmets.
Oh, the black ones. Yeah.
The ones that the
brutal.
police are wearing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a photo of any of that, but
Yeah, they were
don't.
dumb.
they looked. Oh, here's one. Yeah, here's one. I do have one. So this guy, yeah, like in comparison to these guys, with
Had a nice
their
logo on it, I think from the Russian Federation.
I wonder if they ended up using these helmets on chips.
Yeah, I was going to say that. This looks like a Chips episode
Yeah,
from
yeah.
1980
Zoom
something.
in on the helmet, Dave, see if it says chips.
Yeah, if you zoom in hard enough, it probably
Wait,
says chips.
isn't
and it's
this
probably
from-
like preliminary.
before Chips.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
No,
big time, yeah.
Wait, wasn't
Yeah,
Michael
Chips-
Dorn on Chips?
Chips was like the 70s, early 70s, probably.
I don't
Early-
think so, but he might
really.
have been.
Early 80s?
I think he
Never
was.
heard that. Michael
I need to
Dorn
look
on
that up
Chips?
right now. Was Michael Dorn on Chips?
70s.
Maybe he was in the movie remake. I don't know.
You would have
Because I
been
remember because they said when
Yeah, he
Michael
would have
Dorn,
been a teen at that point. Yeah.
yeah, he was on a series. I know that when Michael Dorn was cast on Next Gen, he said that I was like really the only one who had done a series before, other than maybe like LeVar Burton, who had done like miniseries.
Well, I'm going to
work
look that up right now while you're talking.
Yeah, check that out. Check that out.
I will.
would like
I'm
know
going to
that.
get to the bottom of that, Dave, for you.
Right. We so after they kind of do that, then we talked about the girl who shows up, Drusilla, the slave and everything else, but I don't know. She kind of flakes off after, right? And was there some kind of a thing where she was giving him a communicator or something? Was she in on this plot? I couldn't quite follow that part.
I don't think she was in on the plot.
No, she
I
was just
think
there to
that-
butter Kirk up, right?
I think that was all
Dave.
Americans.
Dave, I have some news.
What's that?
Uh-oh.
You are correct.
Michael Dorn was on Chips.
He was on Chips. He was a reoccurring character on Chips, even.
Michael Dorn, who played
Oh.
Worf on Next Generation.
Yeah.
Okay,
he-
so
he
how
played
old
Jebediah
was he?
Turner, and also the police officer with glasses on Chips.
When was Chips on TV?
1977 to 1982.
Yeah.
So Michael Dorn
A lot
was
of Friday nights
born.
watching.
Michael Dorn's about.
He was born
Dad's
in
age.
52.
Oh, he's a little older than Dad. Okay, so he's right.
69.
Fuck,
He's
he's looking good.
Yeah.
Not that
Michael
Ted
Dorn.
is, and I'm just saying that Michael Dorn's doing a good job there. I've seen him
But you-
recently. He looks pretty good.
Dad, are you familiar with Worf on Next Generation?
Yes. Yes.
He's the
That's
Klingon.
Michael Dorn.
That's Michael Dorn.
Yeah. Okay. I am familiar with that.
And he was also on Deep Space Nine, for that matter. But okay, so with the whole thing with her, and then when Claudius shows up at the end, like after Drusilla leaves, he's like, I will have you executed. I wanted to have you to have a nice night before I executed you because you are a man, and since you are a man, I will treat you like a man. What is he talking about? Kirk's a
Yeah.
man, but
He's a man.
I didn't understand because Kirk said, well, I have a question or something. He said, well, since you're a man, I'll give you that right. You know, it was
like a human? Is that what he means? Or you're not from this planet? Or what?
I don't know. It didn't make any sense, but whatever.
No, I think it's just sexist dialogue that Roddenberry put in.
I think he was trying to
Probably right.
from one leader to another. I think that's what that was all about.
Uh-oh.
You know,
it could be
you're a leader
true.
of your ship. I'm a leader of my place, country, whatever it is.
Like, let's
And
talk man to man,
so
that kind of thing.
Like a man as a leader to leader.
Our Facebook.
He did not give that same luxury to the other two.
What's wrong, Dave?
Our Facebook feed ended for some reason. I don't
Oh.
know why.
Did we not pay the bill?
No, we paid the bill. No, we're still on YouTube. We're still on YouTube though. So
All
we should
right.
keep
Well,
going.
you know, YouTube's better than nothing.
Yeah, we can still go here, but something went wrong on Facebook there. Okay. With that in mind, let's keep moving. Kirk. This whole thing, and then there's the fight in the corridor, where it seems like Kirk and Spock and all them they're kind of cornered. All they have is like they have the one gun that Kirk grabbed when he kind of escaped, right? Because this is when Scotty also disrupts the power systems with his machines and on the ship and whatever. And but then they're kind of cornered, like and Claudius is like, oh well, we're now in directly of line of gunfire, so swords only, right? And I'm like, no, like that not. I don't think that's necessary. Like for this group of people that's so good at like squashing rebellions and keeping slaves in line, this wasn't a great strategy. There's kind of like this fight, and then that's where Merrick he grabs the communicator. He says 3 to beam up. He may have been trying to say
communicator all along, Dave.
Huh?
He had the communicator all along. He's the one who stole the communicator.
He's the one who
There.
stole it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't put that.
I didn't even put that together. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, he had it all along. He was the guy who had stolen it. Remember when Claudius said somebody stole a communicator? Check him, see if he had it.
Yes.
And they
think it was Drusilla who did it, but it wasn't Kirk or Drusilla. It was always him.
Yeah. See, I thought it was Drusilla.
No, it was Merrick.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Never caught that.
And why do you think he flipped? Do you think he thought that he became disillusioned with Claudius? Do you think he just seeing Kirk again changed his mind, or he was just,
I think maybe some of that,
or just trying to save his own skin?
I think that even though he was working for Claudius, I don't think he liked him. I think he just, it was his own survival, but then he realized that what he had was not really what he wanted.
Right.
So
he didn't want Sparrow broiled in garum. Claudius was feeding that up.
Whatever garum is.
Whatever garum is, that was what he's like.
They find, believe it or not, when they search the Mediterranean and they go down to deep sea to Rex, like that Drain the Ocean series, they'll go down and they'll drain the ocean and they'll find ships full of garum, and it's in these big earthenware pots with they sit in a wooden thing that's hollowed out, so that they don't even have a bottom to them.
Garum is a fermented fish sauce used as a condiment in cuisines in ancient Greece, Rome, Carthage, and later Byzantium.
That's right. And these ships sunk. When they sunk, they had lots of garum on them. They pulled a lot of it up.
It was it's kind of like soy sauce, fermented soy sauce. It says.
Yeah, I think it was awful.
Fun facts with Ted.
Good. All right.
Fun food facts with Ted.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here's the question I have too. When Kirk and Spock and McCoy do beam out, do they get any of those other survivors from the Beagle? Because there was at least a couple left, right? At least one.
Oh.
At least one we knew that was still alive.
I think they just took their time and they're gone.
They were just peace.
They were right off to begin with.
Well, the one that was fighting in the as a gladiator?
Yeah, he's been there 6 years.
He's got a steady job. He's got a pension.
Good employment. He's got
health care, pension.
Pension.
Like, you're gonna leave that
Well, Spock wouldn't.
to go with the spaceman?
Harry won't live long enough to get it.
You know what I'm concerned about? The fact that when they're beaming out, they get shot, and yet nobody's got any bullets in them.
No.
Yeah, because when they shot Flavius, there was no bullets, no blood, no nothing. They shot a machine gun at him.
Well,
they already said the blood wasn't around.
It's based on an MP16, and it was not a very good representation of it.
But when they're shooting at them when they're
like a
beaming
pellet
out,
gun.
you see the bullet holes on the cement.
But that's what I'm saying is if they're in mid phase, anything that enters that stream would come with them.
Maybe, I don't know. But you see this in other Star Trek episodes where
seen it in other episodes. That's what I'm saying.
They get phasered through, and the phaser goes through the beam, and it doesn't come with them.
Yeah, like that episode where the Riker gets told that he was flirting with that dude's wife and everything. Yeah,
fired. They thought he blew it up as he
fired
was
mid phase. Yeah,
that's a good episode.
That's a great episode, actually. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
One thing that again was kind of interesting too is when Kirk actually was using the gun, and he's like, "Oh, again, the reaction. Oh, this is kind of fun."
Obsolete, but what does he say? Obsolete, but effective. Or something?
Yeah. But how many times has Kirk been able to fire a real gun in the 23rd century or whatever it is? Did he fire one in a piece of the action? Weapons are pretty much gone at this point.
I don't know.
No, he didn't fire the action. No,
he didn't actually fire it. He just Spock and him they have the Tommy guns at a certain point in that episode, but I don't.
Yeah, they were walking around, but they were more just kind of like decoration.
All right. Well, hey, that's the plot of the episode, so maybe we can learn some things we didn't catch. Do we got some fun facts?
Yeah, I got some queued up here. Okay, the coat of arms on the clothes of Proconsul Claudius Marcus is actually the coat of arms for William Shakespeare.
I think I have a photo of that.
Well, there you go. You might as well bring it up then, so people don't think we're crazy. There you go. So that's actually the coat of arms for the Shakespeare family. So there you go. That's a nice little nod, I guess.
I got one.
Go for it.
The costumes and the props were recycled, as Dave said in the beginning, from Paramount storage vaults, including Roman guard outfits. Many of these originally were made for Cecil B. DeMille's epics such as Sign of the Cross, Cleopatra, and the Crusades. So yeah, they don't. Paramount was good at reusing stuff for sure.
Oh yes, they got their value.
All right, so
the submachine guns used by the Roman guards in the episode are Danish Madsen M50 submachine guns.
oh, they're M50s. Okay, I got that one wrong. I thought it was an M16 or MP16 or MP15. I can't remember.
M50.
Anyway, either way, I was wrong, and that's all that really matters. All right. The Jupiter 8 car was actually the Reactor, a custom aluminum show car designed by Gene Winfield and completed in 1965. The Reactor was based on the 1956 Citroen DS chassis with powered by a Chevrolet Covair engine. Wow, that would have been flying.
The Jupiter 8.
Yeah, that's a lot of muscle for a little tiny aluminum car. This car also made appearances in Mission Impossible in 1966 and Bewitched in 1964.
There you go. All the 60s TV shows had it.
Yeah, there you go. It was passed around.
You can go in royal comfort.
Anybody got another one, or am I going here?
I got another one.
All right, go for it.
In the autobiography of James T. Kirk, Dave, you'll like this one. Drusilla had a son named Eugenio, whom McCoy believed to be Kirk's son from their intimate time together.
So you're saying that Kirk impregnated her?
Yes. With a son named Eugenio.
Eugenio?
Eugino, whom McCoy believed to be Kirk's son from their intimate time together.
And wait, when did Kirk come to that conclusion?
McCoy came to that conclusion.
Oh, sorry, when?
McCoy, I don't know. I'd have to go into the autobiography of James T. Kirk. I don't have
it. Because that's implying McCoy went back to that planet.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I just know that she had a son named Eugenio.
Eugenio with Kirk's son.
They think
David Marcus's brother or half brother. Perhaps.
Yes.
David Marcus sucks. Anyway,
I'd like to read. There's
that was kind of a fun fact.
It is fun. Very fun fact.
The Roman planet was revisited in a novel called The Captain's Honor, set 100 years later, after the encounter with the Enterprise crew. The novel details how the alternate Rome conquered their world and explains that 100 years after the events of Bread and Circuses, the Romans are now Federation members and are participating in galactic affairs utilizing at least one Constitution-class starship, the Farragut. That's cool. I'd like to read that book.
Even though it's not canon.
The planet Adam was renamed Magna Roma from 892-4.
So I got one. Ian Wolfe, who played Septimus in this episode, also starred in the movie THX 1138, which was from 1971, which indirectly connects him to both Star Wars and Star Trek franchises. There you go.
Indirectly. Star Alliance.
Mm-hmm. They're closer than you think.
Anything else?
Yeah, one more. The girl who wore the Drusilla, when she wore that, she says every time she showed up at a Star Trek show, everybody talks about that costume. It was very well received by the Star Trek fan base.
Well, it's hard to argue with.
All right.
I can't understand why.
Although it's not much of an outfit.
I got one to explain the actual name of the show.
Yes,
bread.
Well, I'm sure you all have it, but anyway, I'm going to say
I saw no bread. I saw no circuses.
The title "Bread and Circuses" is a translation of "Panem Circuse," which is an ancient Roman metaphor for people choosing food and fun over freedom. It first appeared at around AD 100 in the satires of Juvenal, which also provided the title for another Star Trek production about 20 years later, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Who Watches the Watchers, which is from 1989. There you go. That was kind of a double fun fact I hit you with on that one.
No, I'm trying.
2 and 1.
Okay.
That was a bargain one.
I'm ready to go to ratings. If
I'm ready. Anybody else ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. Bring this up. And let's put it in to the books. So Bread and Circuses is this week. Dad, you want to take us here first?
Yeah, I think since it was one of the top 10 most underrated Star Trek episodes of all time, I'd have to give it like a 7.7.
You got it. All right. I'm going to give it it's about I liked it better than last week, so I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Jeff's not here. Adam?
I'm same with you, Dave. Better than last week, 7.5.
And Jody.
It isn't hard to be better than last week's. But anyway, I also agree it is better than last week's. However, I'm not going to be as generous as you guys. I'm going to do about a 6.5.
6.5. Okay. And this has, I'm just looking it up, IMDb's rating is 7.2 with 2,314 votes.
So you guys are pretty much on the mark.
Well, that's a little bit more consistent. And as mentioned, this falls into the sets from other shows category. This also aired on the Ides of March, 1968, which I thought was a little too on the nose too, but whatever.
Beware of the Ides of March.
Beware of the Ides of March. It's very Roman. Because this, as I said, this episode was done 14th in season 2, but they aired it right before Assignment Earth. Probably just because Ides of March was what they wanted to sync.
Well, one of the fun facts we didn't cover is actually this was one of the first episodes shot for the second season.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Then let's pick our next episode, as we have, I think, about 25 left.
Who gets to pick this time?
You know what, Jody? I'll let you pick this time.
Oh, okay.
So I can scroll by here. Anything in yellow is available.
Anything in yellow, okay.
Here, I'll start at the top. So just here's the season 1 episodes. And I'll try to move. I don't want to go too fast.
I already know which one I want. Operation Annihilation. Or Annihilate.
Operation Annihilate.
Annihilate. That's it.
Okay. I
kind of remember that episode.
Okay, I'm putting that on there. So that's at the very end of season 1. That is the 29th episode of season 1.
I'm just going to warn you. I don't remember it being good.
Well, we gotta get them all out of the way at some point, Jody. So whether it's good or not, I'm just Operation Annihilate.
I don't want any shit from Adam saying that you picked a bad episode. I did it on purpose.
What?
So the summary of this is the Deneva colony is attacked by flying parasites that can cause mass insanity while the crew search for a way to stop them.
Yep, that's the one.
Oh, this is the one where Kirk's brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Georgie. Yes, and the flying fake vomit.
Fake vomit.
Number 10. Eugenie.
If any of you rate this over a 5, I'll be impressed.
I don't dislike this episode, even though the effects are atrocious.
The effects are terrible in this episode.
You don't like yellow?
I would have loved to be in the set guys and just throwing the fake vomit at
the fake vomit and it flying around on strings and then hitting Spock in the back and whatever. He's like,
now I can't wait. I might watch
it's
that.
Gonna be fun.
Just for fun.
I like that episode though. And we never see Kirk's nephew again after that or anything. But it's neither here nor there. We're gonna watch that next week. So watch Operation Annihilate. That's what we're done with Bread and Circuses. And that's it for Ted Check Wednesday for this week. Episode. We'll see. That's why we measure these things. Also, check us out on Tuesdays. We do Deep Space Nine rewatches. Check us out on the weekends. We do Star Trek Radio Theater. Dad, you're going to be guesting on this next one.
I'm a guest star.
Is he? Oh, yes. That'll be interesting.
And I don't have a poster yet because it's just been a hell of a week.
What episode are you doing?
We're doing a piece of the action.
I'm playing Krakow.
He's the gangster Krakow.
Oh, you're going to be the gangster. All right. I'm definitely going to listen to that
the boss from Mel's Diner or something. So that's happening. I'll get that poster out tomorrow or something. It's a short week. Good Friday's coming up. Happy Easter to everybody, or Passover, or whatever.
Celebrate that.
if you happen to celebrate any of those things, or not, just long weekend. You all have to do that. And what else do? We have Super Mater Brothers podcasting. That's we do a lot of other shows that aren't Star Trek related. We've done Westworld. We've done Survivor. We've done Marvel
that reminds
stuff.
me, I got a gripe.
Okay.
All right. Why is it when I am the most winningest person on Trivial Debates, am I not being brought back?
Well, it's just like we can't.
What's that about?
It's like having the Harlem Globetrotters come in and just.
I'm just saying, me against Adam episode.
Now I want to play you. Now I got my stride. I want to.
Yeah, we got it.
That's what I'm saying. I think I need to be in the next one.
Yeah, speaking of Trivial Debates, before I move on to Trivial Debates, Super Mater Brothers podcasting, Jaemeel Robinson and I covering Big Brother Canada 9 3 times a week, whether it will kill us or not. We're in the 5th week of the show, so if you watch that show, check out our podcast.
How many weeks is that?
I have nothing but appreciation for you guys to have to watch that drivel every week.
Yeah,
we do it 3 times a week, man. We do, it's breaking it all down, analyzing it. It's great. And we're going on tonight. I'm going to go watch the show, and I'll be on for that. And then Trivial Debates, as mentioned, Adam was on the last one. We had Jaemeel Robinson. We had Eamon Mater. Eamon said he's hosting the next one. So if you want to throw your hat in the ring, let us know. And we'll
if Adam will be there, I'll be there.
I'm coming. I want to come.
Okay. He's going to defend the belt.
But now you got 2. You just need one more.
Yeah.
I'll go on it.
Oh, Dad wants to be on it. Oh. Can Eamon handle this? I wonder.
I don't think Eamon can handle all 3 of us.
It's going to be interesting, but that would be actually, why not? Like, let's do it. And let's get something set up for the end of April.
Definitely going to be called an idiot.
That's all I can say. Good chance. I don't know. Who's to say? We're not supposed to be personally mean to each other, but that's it for tonight. Let's sign off. Make sure to like, subscribe, and everything. And sorry to all those on Facebook. We will repost this episode over there just to make sure we're complete. But thanks to YouTube for not canceling us tonight. All right.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
I keep hearing about it. That must be what it is.
Must be. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And until then, live long and podcast.